Annyeonghaseyo, this is meowmurai. Let's continue our game of 9 R.I.P, 9 Rest in Peace, running on Nintendo Switch 2. I became stronger here, thanks to everyone's help. Even Hibiki came out of the mirror to help me. Finally, I think I have the courage to stand up for what I want to do in the future. And so, now it's my turn to help you. Please, God, give me a little more time here. I want to help you cross over, Hibiki. It's what's best for you. The printout fell on the floor. And one of the corpse flowers was drained of color. Could it be that God granted my desire and erased it? After all, that was Hibiki's flower. The survey showed 7 corpse flowers. As if in response to my thoughts, the one representing Hibiki faded away. I had a feeling that the god who spirited me away here had something to do with that. The whole thing seemed too convenient to think anything else.
待ってください。僕が成仏できるように、あなたが。
Calm down. How can I explain this? I tried to find a way to explain things and calm him down, but was having trouble finding the right words. Hibiki, I want you to listen to me.
はい。
Hibiki, I get the feeling that you being here isn't exactly good for you, so please, let me help you cross over. Huh? It's like he's frozen. Hibiki? Are you alright, Hibiki?
ごめんなさい。
As though to snap himself back to the present, Hibiki shook his head back and forth.
僕を成仏させるって。だってあなたは帰らないといけないのに。
Well, I picked up and unfolded the print for him to see. Then I pointed to the single corpse flower whose color had faded.
これは。
I'm sure the flower whose color faded away was yours, Hibiki.
ごめんなさい。
Suddenly he got down on his knees in front of me, and I froze in response.
僕のせいで。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Hey, calm down. This isn't your fault, Hibiki.
だって僕があなたに残ってほしいってそう思ってしまったから。
No, it's the opposite. I thought I couldn't just go back and leave things the way they are. I didn't want to go back yet.
あなた
Yes.
僕のために。
Yes, that's exactly right. So there's nothing for you to feel bad about, okay? I straightened to my posture and stared directly at him. So, Hibiki, will you let me help you? As he was still on his knees, I bent down to him and touched the hem of his school uniform. What? Suddenly, Hibiki hugged me. Our skin didn't even touch, but I felt an icy chill run through me as his cold breath grazed my ear.
僕こんなに嬉しいの久しぶりで。
I couldn't tell if he was crying, but his shoulders shook as he spoke. I understand, but could you please let me go?
ごめんなさい。肌に触れないようにはしているんですが。
I know, but perhaps it was because he hugged me so suddenly, but right after he said that, my face flushed with embarrassment. Even Hibiki's breath alone was so cold. Or I think it means even though Hibiki's breath alone was so cold. In response, I felt as though my body might be a little warmer than usual. If he were to notice that, thinking about that, my face got hotter and hotter.
僕のために何 してくれる人間は家族だけでした。だからこんなこと初めてで、すごく嬉しいです。
I couldn't see his expression, but I could tell merely from the sound of his voice. Hibiki sounds so happy. I'm glad I decided to stay in this world, too. That thought came from the bottom of my heart. Hibiki had been all alone, avoiding others for so long. He said he was scared of the other ghosts, but I was sure that part of him was waiting for someone to reach out to him. So honest and clumsy at the same time.
ありがとうございます。本当に。やっぱり。
Perhaps it was just my imagination, but his embrace seemed to grow a little stronger.
やっぱり。僕はあなたが好きです。
Hmm?
聖者だからかもって思ってたけど。違う。今、この瞬間に。あなた自身を好きになりました。
My face must have been bright red. The more aware of it I became, the hotter my face got, and the harder it was to calm down. He cares about me. As his words sunk deep into me, I felt his cold body pulling away from me.
ごめんなさい。急に抱きついたりして。あなたの決断があまりにも嬉しくて。
No, it's fine.
なんか顔が赤いような。
Oh, it's probably because of, the whole red moon thing.
それにしてはいつもより。
Ah, I've got to change the topic. Hey, by the way, Hibiki, why don't you tell me more about yourself?
僕の話を。
True, it was a conversation topic I whipped up on the spot, but I did want to know more about him. I want to help you cross over, after all. That's going to be pretty tough if I don't learn more about you, right? Honestly, I'd wanted to ask him this earlier, but I wasn't sure how to bring it up before. The fact that I might have the chance to learn more about Hibiki made me happy. Guess I don't have to hold back anymore.
そうですよね。話さないと。
Maybe I accidentally touched on a sensitive subject here.
あんな話をした後で不安かもしれないですけど。 他の人に聞かれたくないというか、邪魔が入るのも嫌なので、鏡の中に入ってくれませんか？
I could understand why he didn't want anybody interrupting us. No doubt this is a very serious conversation. But Hibiki just told me that he could trap me in the world of the mirror if he wanted, and I knew that was true.
多分、僕は、あなたがこの中に入ったら、閉じ込めてしまうから。
I'm a little scared, but what should I do? I understand. Understood. Well, shall we head inside?
いいんですか？
As I nodded back at him, Hibiki's eyes widened. I mean, you were the one who suggested it, right?
そうなんですけど、内心ではてっきり断られるものだとばかり。
I would be lying if I said the possibility of being trapped in the mirror didn't frighten me. But I decided I'll do whatever I need to do to help Hibiki cross over. I didn't have time to worry about other things. No way I'd reject it. I trust you, Hibiki.
ありがとうございます。嬉しい。
With a slight blush gliding across his face, he smiled back happily at me. Immediately the fear in me faded away.
それじゃあ、行きましょうか。
When I go into the mirror, how exactly do I do it?
簡単ですよ。僕が今、許可を出します。
Hibiki then held his palm to the mirror. As he did so, a strange dark light appeared from behind the mirror and began flickering. An eerie warm wind began to blow towards me, causing the hair on my arms to stand straight. Since I'd come to this place, I'd seen many strange and wondrous things, but this one has to be the most amazing.
これで大丈夫だと思います。鏡に触れてみてください。
After he spoke, I approached the mirror with trepidation. I outstretched my finger, and it immediately sunk deep into the mirror. What? I dipped my entire hand into the mirror. It was cold and surrounded by pressure, like putting a hand in a deep frigid lake.
このまま一歩踏み出せば向こうの世界に行けます。さあ、一緒に行きましょう。
As he spoke, he took a step inside the mirror, which rippled as it swallowed him whole. No turning back now. I took a deep breath and followed in after him. So, this is the mirror world. I gradually became used to the frigid sensation on my skin as I looked around the place. It really is the same. Unlike the place where I had just been, my surroundings were just like my school. However, one thing was different. It was as though the entire building was inverted, giving me a very strange feeling. It's so quiet.
そうですか?
Is it quiet because the other side of the mirror is quiet? Or, I mean, it's the same as the other side, I guess, but it's just so quiet here. When Hibiki and I were not speaking, the world was so quiet it nearly hurt my ears.
普段と違って生徒たちの声が聞こえてこないから、そう感じるのかもしれないですね。
I get the feeling that's not all.
そうしたら保健室でいいですか？いつもあそこで休んでいましたよね。だからなるべく同じ方がいいかなって。
His concern for me made me happy, and I felt a smile creep up on my face. Thank you very much. Yes, let's head there first. So we left the mirror and headed down to the first floor where the nurse's office was. Perspective Hibiki. As we made our way down to the nurse's office, I found myself looking over at her, and a smile unintentionally rose to my face. If I kept looking at her and start to think it was... if I kept looking at her, she'd start to think I was some kind of weirdo. I turned my gaze to the ground and stole one more glance at her. I couldn't believe it. I had never been this happy. Hibiki, if you keep looking at me...
ごめんなさい。あなたがここにいるのが信じられなくて。
Try as I might, I couldn't stop myself from smiling. What if she thought it was weird, though? I didn't know what to do. In response to my nervousness, she merely smiled kindly. If it makes you so happy, you should have invited me here before.
そんなこと。今ここに来てくれているからいいんです。
Seeing you smile like that makes me happy. I thought so before, but your smile is really cute, Hibiki.
かわいいですか?
That felt a little, well, not great. That wasn't what I wanted her to say.
僕、男らしくないですよね。
Huh? Oh, I didn't mean it like that. How can I say it? I wanted it to be a compliment. Huh? A compliment?
それならいいです。かわいいで全然いいです。
I'm glad to hear that. The look on her face, which seemed flustered a moment ago, now faded into a soft smile. If she was giving me a compliment, then I was fine being cute. If anything, it made me happy. But someday, I hoped she'd think of me as cool.
クレハさんはかっこいいですよね。
Yeah, I wouldn't really call him cute, huh?
そうですよね。
I hoped one day she'd see me as even cooler than Kuroha. That's right. Maybe if I had a sword like Kuroha? Could I really do that? No, I have to do it. I have to be a man worthy of her. Shouldn't try too hard, yeah. That's a man's greatest failing. As we walked to the nurse's office, the halls were filled only with the sounds of our feet and voices. The nurse's office is so quiet, too. When I was in the other realm, I was so scared of the ghosts wandering around the building, but here, with no other soul around, I found myself even more frightened.
疲れてると思いますし、座ってくださいね。
Right. I sat down in the chair in front of me, and Hibiki sat opposite me.
なんだか緊張しちゃいます。自分のことを話すなんて今までなかったから。
Just take your time and tell me about yourself at your own pace. After I said those words and gave him a soft smile, I took a deep breath.
どこからどこまで話せばいいのか。全部ですか？
Well, he couldn't really tell me everything, could he? I want to learn as much about you as I can, Hibiki. But let's start with anything you think would have to do with helping you cross over.
成仏。そうですよね。わかりました。
Hibiki stared down at the ground as if trying to sort through his thoughts. He closed his eyes for a moment and then...
僕が死んだのは1949年。
He started speaking again after a short pause.
戦争で焼かれてしまった街中にも建物が並び始めて、少しずつ暮らしが変わり始めた頃です。
I lost my parents in the war and was alone in the world. I came to this city looking for distant relatives I'd never met before to see if I could live with them. Before that, I had lived with some relatives from my mother's side of the family, but they said they didn't want me anymore. It's not like they threw me out or anything. I just happened to overhear some of the adults talking one time. They mentioned how tough it was having an extra mouth to feed. So I left on my own volition and decided to reach out to my father's side. I heard they were financially better off before the war. I remember when they first saw me, they looked at me as though I was nothing but a burden. They barely took me in. My room was in the corner of a storage shed, and I was treated like a servant. I have no doubt living in the time and place you do. That seems unthinkable to you, but those were the times I lived in. After the war, a lot of us lived hard. Actually, there were a lot of orphans who lived far harder lives than I did. I tried desperately to stay strong. I had to be tough, I told myself. I couldn't be broken. I had to keep living. During the war, my mother would always whisper,
こんな時代でごめんね。幸せにできていたらいいんだけれど。
She'd say that, and a smile would come to the surface of her exhausted face, and she'd gently pat my head. My father, too, was very kind to me, especially given the time. They were a loving couple, but they were not blessed with many children. Before I was born, they had a child who was stillborn. Anyway, my own parents wanted nothing more than for me to be happy. For their sake, and my own, I wanted to be happy. I'd find strength in that. I'd be okay. And I'd keep going. Then, one day, as I hurried home in the dark of night, there was a certain time I had to be home every night, otherwise my family would get very upset, so I was rushing back. I thought of the punishment I would receive when I got home, and suddenly I felt as though I was going to cry. Still, I thought the sooner I got home, the better, and so I took a shortcut. On the way, just as twilight was setting in, I happened upon a certain house. I was amazed by its magnificent gate and size. I was captivated by its eerie appearance, and I just stopped to look at it.
ここが月神の屋敷。
I knew that no matter how quickly I rushed home, I'd never make it in time, and in some state of complete despair. I wanted to escape reality, even if for a moment. I wanted to think of something else, and so I just stared at the strange mansion.
最近ここの一人娘が失踪したと話題になっていたっけ？
The rumor was that she'd been spirited away. In the past, when I used to come by this way, the garden was always beautifully maintained with many flowers. Now it was overrun with weeds and covered in dead leaves. It was in total disarray. The place looked run down and gave me the creeps. A chill ran down my spine, and I turned around to leave when I saw a figure emerge from the darkness and immediately felt a dull pain in my stomach. I fell to the ground in a daze and then was hit atop the head as well. It all happened in an instant. When I awoke, I found myself locked in a small room. What is...
こ
I was trapped in an unfamiliar room. I was utterly bewildered. Then came the voice.
お前は選ばれたのだ。神に。
The man's voice echoed outside the room. It was clear the man was completely mad. I was listening so intently to Hibiki's story, I'd nearly forgotten to breathe.
もう分かったんじゃないですか。この男の正体を。
Isao Skigami.
正解です。ここから先は恐怖のせいで記憶がところどころ曖昧になっているんですが。
Of course, that makes sense. I'm sorry for making you think back on something so painful.
いえ、いいんです。あなたが聞いてくれるなら覚えている限りのことを話しますね。
Then Hibiki continued on with his story. The days that followed were hell. In the rooms, I wondered if people were there, screaming voices, voices, voices. Someone was being taken somewhere. I could hear them even when I covered my ears. The horrible sounds echoed off the walls. The sounds alone were enough to tell you this was a terrible place. I knew that I might be killed. The moment I realized it, I couldn't stop shaking.
大丈夫。僕なら大丈夫だ。
My parents, they had loved me so much. The two of them had wished for me to be happy.
強くいなきゃ。とにかく強く。
All I could do was listen to the terrible sounds of that place. Trapped and alone, the only thing I had were the sounds of that place. From that point on, I concentrated on listening. The distant sound of a door opening and closing, the sounds of footsteps approaching. Having only the sounds, I found that you could tell a lot about someone based on the sound of their footsteps alone. The footsteps would approach my door, then pass by, heading for someone else's room. After the sounds of the beating, the floor would creak with the sounds of footsteps. Creak, creak went the sound of the floor. Perhaps it was the sound of a screaming child knocked unconscious by being dragged by the owner of those shoes. Where they were going, I didn't know. But there was one thing I knew for sure. And after they were taken away, I never heard their voices again. They were killed. I knew they certainly weren't let go. When one of them was taken away, I wouldn't hear the sound of another being taken for quite some time. But after a few days, that dreaded sound would come again. I knew someday it would be my turn. I'm scared. Scared, 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 scared. I felt like I was losing my mind. Every time I heard those footsteps, I wondered if they would stop at my door. Don't come here. Please don't come here. Please don't kill me. As it continued on and on like that, eventually I grew numb to it, and thoughts I would have never had before came to me.
そうだ。死ねばいいんだ。
I would rather die by my own hand than be killed. Sticking around here only to be dragged away and killed, made a victim of... I couldn't bear the thought of it. Don't you agree? At least my end would be of my own making.
犯人の思い通りになってやるものか。
And so I ripped a sheet and wove it together. I thought of my mother and father's smiles, their warm hands as they patted my head, the warmth given to me by the people I loved.
幸せになれなくて。ごめんなさい。
Through tears, I apologized to them over and over.
あの男がいけないんだ。僕をさらったかもしれない男。
My parents' cherished desires all crumbled to dust at his hands. I was so jealous of him. If I could, I would have killed him. I'd have stabbed him. I'd cut off his legs. I'd drag his corpse all over the mansion. If he screamed for help, I'd slit his throat.
そうなったら
Thinking about that was the only joy I had in that dark place. And then I tied that cloth woven with hate and loathing to a beam on the ceiling.
ないけど大丈夫自分で死ななきゃ
With determination, I put my head through the loop I'd made.
お父さんお母さん僕はあなたたちの子供で幸せでした
I hoped my final thoughts would reach them. I was using a mirror stand as a platform. I stepped from it. I won't forget that moment of sheer joy. Ending things was the best choice I ever made. I mean, if he was going to get tortured and killed, he didn't have very good alternatives. His face had been dark when he began speaking, but
僕の話はこれで終わりです
now his face was bright. He was smiling. That expression, it was the same as when he told me he hung himself before. I thought there was something weird the first time, but after hearing that story, like he was forcing himself to accept it, as though he had to smile about it. But there was a sadness in his smile. Before he killed himself, was he smiling like this too? Why? All I could say in response was, "You don't have to pretend to smile."
無理なんてしていないですよ最後は僕自身の希望が叶って死ねたんですから
His expression, his tone, his words, they told me there was nothing he was scared of anymore. The reason Hibiki's like this is all Isao Skigami's fault. Standing up from my chair, I walked up next to him and gently put my arms around him. I won't tell anyone about the choice you made. But the last words to his parents and smile remained. Perhaps he just wanted to convey his feelings. Maybe that's why he's smiling now. I had the feeling that he was trying to show his parents that he had made a choice that had allowed him to be happy. I think your parents have already gotten the message. So it's okay if you want to let some of that sadness and anger out now.
そんなことあるわけが
His pale hands extended forward and...
僕は死にたいわけじゃなかったんです生きていたかったんです
Finally, his true emotions came out.
生きたい生きたかった死にたくなんてなかった生きて生き抜いてそれで幸せになりたかった
Hearing his words, I too felt tears welling in my eyes.
なのに
How painful was it? How sad was it? I can only imagine how he must have felt.
幸せになりたかったいつか僕もお父さんとお母さんのように 家庭を作って未来を築きたかった。
Unable to bear it anymore, hot tears began streaking down my face.
でもあの時はああしないとダメだった。僕がどうしても嫌だったんです。ただ殺されるのは耐えられなかった。でもそれでもごめんなさい、お父さん、お母さん。本当にごめんなさい。
It's all right. I wanted Hibiki to let all this out. It must have been building up inside of him, locked up for decades. By trying to force himself to smile, he was deceived into believing that his death was something to be happy about. I can't forgive Isao Skigami ever. I had heard about this whole thing from Yui, but still. Hibiki cried for a while after that. All the while I slowly rubbed his back, and over. I hope these thoughts reach his parents. It was impossible to know how many minutes passed like that.
ごめんなさい。もう大丈夫です。
I pulled away from Hibiki, his body still trembling a little. He looked quite embarrassed.
男があんなに泣くなんて恥ずかしいです。しかもあなたの前で。
I'm just happy I was here with you, Hibiki. I didn't say anything more. I just smiled at him. I felt like this is a better way to convey my feelings to him anyway.
ありがとうございます。
No, thank you. Thank you for talking to me. I hope this will ease your burden, if only just a little. The ghosts that were still here couldn't pass on because of their lingering regrets. From what I've heard about his parents, I think Hibiki's regret is that he couldn't be happy for them. In that case, to cross over, maybe he just needs to find a way to be happy. Just then, my field of vision shook. Huh? I quickly realized that I was falling over and had nearly reached the floor.
危ない。
Thanks to Hibiki catching me, my fall was averted.
大丈夫ですか。
I'm sorry, I suddenly got so dizzy. My head, it hurt so bad. It felt like it was going to split in two. What was this all of a sudden? I was careful to try to... not to touch Hibiki's skin, but... why?
ここの空気に触れすぎたのでしょう。
That voice. Well, Saya. Looking up towards the door, I was met with a familiar face. It was Saya. Huh? Why? I thought this was Hibiki's world. Nobody could enter without permission.
今は説明している場合ではないかと。ベッドで休むのがよろしいでしょう。
そうしてください。お願いします。
Hibiki's reaction seemed a little strange. The way he acts with Saya, it's not really the same as with the others. Could it be this isn't the first time they've met? Why wasn't Hibiki more surprised? The pain in my head continued to intensify. This is bad, really bad. I'll take your word for it and rest. Even moving toward the bed, I didn't feel like I could walk properly.
ゆっくり休んでくださいね。
Hibiki gently supported me and put a blanket over me. Thank you. Laying down, I could feel the feverish feeling from before beginning to recede. I must have been so tired. I think Saya was right. I breathed in too much of the air here.
ここには僕しか。あ、今は大看守様もいますけど、他の幽霊はいません。だから安心して眠ってください。
Hibiki smiled to reassure me, and looking at his face, I felt myself calming down.
手は握ってあげられないですけど、ずっとここに、あなたのそばについています。
I'm glad I can rely on you. Hibiki, I'm so grateful that I have someone like you to rely on.
だって男ですから。
Seeing him puff out his chest with pride, I couldn't help but smile. Is that right? Well, either way, I'm glad you're here. Though he always looked timid and afraid, there was a strength there that had aided me so many times already. The pain in my head came back, and I pressed it down on it again.
早く眠ってください。
As he pulled the covers over me, I could see that his hands were trembling.
あなたにもしものことがあったら、僕は怖くて仕方がないんです。
He seemed to convey his emotions through the touches above the covers. Thank you. After saying that, I closed my eyes. Then I quickly fell unconscious. Gradually, my thoughts became blurred, but Hibiki remained embedded within them. I never would have thought that he'd worry so much about me like this. I could see plainly that he cared about me, and that warmed my heart. But that was not what I was here for. I had no idea how long my body would last in here, and my primary focus had to be finding a way to help Hibiki cross over. I wondered how much time I had left. In spite of my body drifting off to sleep, I was filled with a sense of urgency. I have to hurry. Hibiki's perspective. I felt relieved as I watched her sleep. She had already helped me so much, and she had remained here for me, and she had made that decision all on her own. I had been so delighted by that fact, I couldn't see how much it was affecting her. I couldn't let things keep going like this.
彼女の姿が見当たらないと表では大騒ぎになっていますよ。まさかここに閉じ込めているのですか？
閉じ込めるなんてしないです。絶対に。
My voice raised nearly to a shout. I quickly turned to look back at her. It would have been terrible for me to wake her just as she finally got to sleep. With that in mind, I got up from the side of the bed and strode towards the Grand Wardener.
大騒ぎになってるってクレハさんですか？
ええ、七不思議の最後、七つ目を呼び覚まそうとしたとき、何かあったのでは？そう心配していました。
そうですか。
響、寂しいからといって彼女をここに閉じ込めるのは違いますよ。今の状況がそうではないというのは信じますが、今後どうなるのかは危惧しています。
分かっています。僕だってそれくらいは。
I turned to look at her as she slept, then cast my gaze to the floor. I didn't want to lock her up here, but ignoring her will and doing whatever I wanted, I was embarrassed by how I was before. It was scary. When I thought of her dying here, I couldn't handle it. I mean, I wanted her to be happy. And to be alive was to be happy. I knew that better than most.
止めるべきじゃなかったのかな。
何か言いましたか？
いえ、自分への後悔がつい。
I have some regrets from even after I died.
自身の感情のせいで状況が見えなくなるなんて本当に愚か者だな。
その目、恋をしてしまったようですね。
え？
成就しないと分かっている恋ほど燃える、それは分かります。
そういう理由は特にないんですけど。
Just what did the Grand Wardener mean by that?
では、なぜそのような目を？
あ、確かに好きになってしまったけど、僕なんか振り向いてもらえないって分かってます。
そうではなく、聖者と死者が結ばれることは決してない、そう言っているのです。
そんなこと分かっています。でも
I held out a little hope in my heart. I thought back on the warmth of her hands, her soft smile.
僕がここで待っていれば、それなら
彼女が亡くなるまで待つと、彼女には彼女の未来があるのです。写し世に戻りさえすれば、そこで紡がれる新しい縁もあるでしょう。
I felt a sharp pain in my chest as the last tiny hope I had dried up.
待っていても、彼女が亡くなった後、幽霊となってあなたの元へ戻ってくるとは限りません。
I knew that without him telling me. Even still, being hit with reality so bluntly hurt a lot.
こういう場合、大看守様ならどうしますか？
He quickly spoke without thinking.
思い続けます。私はこう見えても粘着質ですから。
成就しないと分かっていても。
一度愛してしまったら、そう簡単には忘れられないのですよ。たとえ片恋だとしてもね。
I had never seen this side of the Grand Warder before.
それもいいかもしれませんね。
Chapter 7. I heard some kind of sound. It kept ringing without stopping. That's my phone. I have to get it.
ああ、ミサ、今ちょっといいかしら。
Ah, that's right. This is the first time I told my mother about what I wanted to do. The moment I remembered, the world around me became vividly colored. The truth is, I don't want to go to Saigon University.
それならそうと早く言ってちょうだい。
This is exactly how I remembered it. That's exactly what my mom said. But I thought she had accepted my decision, but I was wrong. I know what's coming next. I've seen this all before.
まあいいわ。それでどこの大学なの？
If I were able to redo this moment, what would I do? But this has already happened, so...
どうしたの？もしかして電波が悪いのかしら？
Huh? If this was what happened before, I should have said something like, I don't have a plan yet, but...
ちょっとミサ？ミサ？聞こえてる？
Could it be that I'm getting another chance? I'm sorry, I can hear you.
ああ、よかったわ。それでどこの大学なの？
I'm getting another chance. I could answer how I wanted. Maybe if I changed my answer, it would change the way my mother responded. In that case, I can't make any mistakes. I can change my future. The place I want to go is... It's not Sangin University, and I don't want to go into medicine. I breathed in sharply. The words I'd crafted out came rather harsh. I want to find my own path. I'm sorry, I know this is sudden, but...
あなた何を言っているの？そんなこと今さら。ダメよ。絶対に許しません。
It's the same as before, after all. Mom, please, listen to me.
他の大学って言うから、てっきり医学部でも違うところを目指すのかと思っていたわ。
It's the same as before. It's exactly the same. What should I do? I tried telling her more calmly than before, but the results were exactly the same. I can't be so weak here. I have to be strong. Inside the school in the Hidden Realm, I faced down the seven wonders and the fear I associated with them. I did my best and filled in the colors of the seven corpse flowers. I have the power to overcome anything. I'm not interested in medicine. If I go along with what my mother says, I know I'll regret it. Believe in me. Watch over me, please. As my trembling hand held the phone, I wondered if I really would be able to do it.
そんなこと言って、具体的な進路は何も決まってないんでしょ？それなら、聖銀大学で考えてみなさい。きっと気に入るはずだから。
Are you even listening to me?
ええ、もちろん聞いていたわ。だから言っているのよ。何も決まっていないんでしょって。まったく、周りの子に感化されたのかしら。受験はナーバスになるって聞くし、一時の気の迷いよ。
No, it's not. That's not it at all. Mother, listen to me. Listen to what I have to say. Mother. All right. Why don't we stop it there? This is meowmurai. You've been watching 9-RIP running on Nintendo Switch 2. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.